Who goes there? That nightmare again. I need a drink.
तो आपका फिर से स्वागत है कॉल ऑफ कथुलू में। और आज हम करेंगे आगे का मिशन। पिछले एपिसोड में आपने देखा हम उस हॉस्पिटल से एस्केप कर रहा, जो कि असलियत में है ही नहीं, सिर्फ हमारे दिमाग का वहम था। तो चलिए आज आगे करते हैं मिशन। ऑफिसर को ढूंढते हैं, ये रहे
You're
वो।
awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
क्या कहूँ इससे? चलो ब्रैडली से बात करते हैं।
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
क्या कहूँ इससे? You and Dr. Colden.
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
Bradley, what do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital, and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
और क्या बात करूँ तेरे? हाँ, तू तो मर गया था। पहले क्या पूछना पड़ेगा इससे? कम बैक चलते हैं। और क्या बात करें?
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course. He's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins. And that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
ये इतनी क्यों हिल
Tell
रही
me
है?
how Mr. Sanders died.
He called him the Assembler, a sort of crisis. क्या कहूँ इससे? Left वाला
I
कहता हूँ।
didn't see what, but something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins' visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
लेट्स से क्या कहूँ, better to confirm with the truth. ये वाला
He's right.
कहेंगे।
We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well. I'll go to see Francis's widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
देखते हैं अब क्या होगा। अब हमें कहाँ जाना है? टॉक टू सैंडर्स विडो। अब ये कौन है? ये लड़की तो नहीं है?
Let us go now and learn the truth about what's happening on this island.
ठीक है, जा रहे हैं। लीव करो यहाँ से, गेट खोल दो।
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here. You know each other.
We met briefly. Time enough to iron out a few matters. The main thing is that we understood one another. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later.
Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It
चलो तो
would seem that you have much
चलते
to
हैं।
tell me.
कहाँ लेकर जाएगी हमें? जब बिठाएगी हम भी बैठ जाएं, हम इधर ही बैठेंगे।
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
मुझे तो लगता है वो जो फ्रांसिस था वो मर गया, जो वो था उसकी बात हो रही है, जो हवा में उड़ के मरा था। He died screaming right before my eyes. I was no longer there when it happened. You are talking it quite well. You must not feel guilty. तो ये वाला कहेंगे।
He started raving, screaming that a dimensional shambler had found him.
Oh, mercy, that story again. Why have him interned?
That was when he began to convulse and twist with pain. Or terror, it's hard to tell.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not really sure of what I saw, or what I didn't see. But it's best that you weren't there.
I should have been there. What you're telling me is outrageous. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
I share your grief, but I had nothing to do with it. Yes, ये बात सही है।
It's terrible what happened to your husband, but I had nothing to do with it. I was injured, and I came across him in the hospital quite by chance.
Injured? Well, I'm delighted to see you in such fine fettle, Detective. Not everybody enjoyed such a prompt recovery.
I suppose Fuller does do miracles now and again.
Luck is obviously very kind to you. Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
जा रहे हैं, बकवास मत कर। क्या बात करूं? How do you know Sarah Hawkins?
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and his sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
What cat is doing here?
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long.
ठीक है, बता। मैं देख सकता हूँ ना उस फोटो को? ये क्या है? ये किसकी फोटो रखी है? पहले यहाँ सब कुछ देखेंगे हम।
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
ये है वो फोटो।
Did she really care for him after all?
पहले हम अपनी जादू शक्तियों से देखते हैं क्या हुआ था, कौन कैसे आया था। चलो पहले इस पियानो को देखते हैं। ये तो वही पियानो है।
A house of artists. A house of artists.
और अब किधर? इधर इधर।
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even?
ये था वो जो मरा था कल। अब किधर? ये बुक। ये तो वही है जो वहाँ रखी थी।
Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally. What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting?
ये वही पैसे वाली किताब है। मैं इधर जा नहीं सकता। अब मैं किधर जाऊँगा? इधर चलते। ये रही वो पेंटिंग।
He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? He didn't want Sanders to have the painting. She must have felt devastated.
ये पेंटिंग को बेचना नहीं चाहती थी। ये क्या हो गया अब? अच्छा ऐसे हुआ था यहाँ। Oh no.
The Shambler. I need to see it.
वो ऐसे मरे थे। ऐसे हुआ था यहाँ कुछ।
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
ये घर है? कैसा है इसका घर? कैसा ये घर है? अजब सा घर है, गजब सा घर है। यहाँ देखते हैं। घर में गेट बंद है, कोई चोरी ना कर ले। ये किसी को भी घर में आने देती है अंदर। हमने तो भाई रिक्वेस्ट करी थी जब आने दिया इसने हमें अंदर। ये कहाँ? ये तो नहीं हो पेंटिंग। पेंटिंग किधर है वो?
A strange Amerindian pendant.
ओह इंडियन पेंडेंट। भारतवासी। इंडियन मतलब
An
जंगली है।
old diary.
दो मतलब होते हैं ना इंडियन के।
Strange.
सब
For
चुरा ले
months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting. To find, I could use one of those.
जितना चुराया जा सके उतना चुरा ले। ये क्या है? ओहो बुक लेने के लिए था ये डब्बा सरकाओ। अब ये पेंटिंग देख रही है। Don't read the book. Affect your destiny. चाबी मिल गई हमें। को पढ़ के देखें। ये बुक है, समझ में कुछ आ नहीं रहा। क्या देख लिया मैं? अभी आएंगे हम, पहले गेट खोल लें। इधर है वो पेंटिंग, ये छिपने के लिए, मतलब यहाँ भी कुछ ना कुछ है, भूत वाली बात। चलते हैं आगे।
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times.
इधर देखते हैं क्या मिलेगा। आज तो घूमना
The
है।
man transforms an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
बहुत बढ़िया करा ना इसने। ये रही वो पेंटिंग। पहले मैं सब जगह देख लेता हूँ, इधर उधर कुछ है तो नहीं। इसमें कुछ नहीं है। ये अच्छा, लैंप में तेल भर लिया। सही है, सही है, सही है, सही सही है।
Why was he so interested in old weapons?
पता नहीं, बेचना होगा इसे, पैसे कमाएगी बेच के उनसे। अब हम पेंटिंग के पास चलते हैं। ये क्या हो गया? तो कुछ ना कुछ तो होना ही है जरूर। इसके अंदर ना चला जाऊं मैं। कौन आ रहा है निकल के? अरे वाह, अब मुझे यहाँ से भागना होगा। गेम सेव हो चुका
What
है।